Good morning. Welcome along to day 3 of Soccerex Connected. Ben Jacobs with you throughout the course of the day. We are focusing on performance, medical and analytics, and today is sponsored by our presenting partner, Cell Nutrition Sport. I'll come back to them in just a moment, but before all of that, a few bits of housekeeping for you. I would love you to engage with us. Use that hashtag Soccerex Connected at Soccerex via Twitter as well. If you have any questions for panelists, do engage on the app as well. All the exhibitors are there, and we'd love for you to network with them and try and stay as connected as possible, even though, of course, we are socially distant. Each day has a different theme. The full schedule is available on your app and via the website as well. And as I said, right at the top today, we are sponsored by Cell Nutrition Sport. And as a consequence of that, and because we're focusing on performance medical analytics, I've got another signed shirt to give away. We've got a huge array of signed shirts. Louis Saha, Edwin van der Sar, Deco, Carlos Alberto, Jean-Pierre Papin. The full photograph will be posted via our social media of what's available. And if you'd like to win the shirt today, all you've got to do in light of our theme and our presenting partner, Cell Nutrition Sport, is tell me this on the analytics theme. What is your best football fact or stat? What is your best football fact or stat? Get as geeky as you like. Give me a stat, either that's quirky, is going to make us laugh, or is just going to blow us away. Tweet us at Soccerex for your chance to win a signed shirt today in association with Cell Nutrition Sport. And in a moment, I'll reiterate the winner from yesterday as well. Now, we get underway in earnest at midday with our opening panel, which is entitled Developing Footballers in the Developing World. But before all of that, every single morning we have Soccerex Fast Forward, and I'm delighted to say that joining me as ever is Soccerex's Head of Sales and Marketing, Patrick McCreanor, who's over in Eastbourne. Patrick, it is a very good morning to you, and myself and Patrick always look ahead to the day as well as looking back at day 2 as well. Patrick, good morning to you. Hope that you're staying safe down south. What can we expect today on day 3 of Soccerex Connected?
Yeah, morning, Ben. I think you'll be pleased to see that I've changed the jacket for today. I do happen to own more than one, but there are a few panels today that I'm really looking forward to. I think the geek in me is really looking forward to the Soccerex Heritage panel this evening, focusing on sort of iconic sports brands and the development of sports brands over the last 50, 60 years. I think we're all keen to see a retro kit. You know, some are so bad that they're great. The old-fashioned boots, some even called Patrick, Adidas Copa Mundials, that sort of thing is always something that I enjoy to do personally. So that's a personal favourite. And there are others. We've got the Red Zone with Stat Sports at 1 o'clock, which looks at the injuries and how we can use tech to overcome injuries and identify the red zone or the key stages of injury and recovery. And also we've got Out of Sight, Out of Mind, which you would have seen from the first Soccerex Connected. We shone quite a strong light on mental health. And we'll be doing that again today with some fantastic panelists, including Clark Carlisle and Stilian Petrov. So yeah, that in amongst injury, recuperation, performance, and obviously nutrition alongside our presenting partners, I think it will be another action-packed day.
Yeah, absolutely. And the jacket did not go unnoticed, and the jumper as well. You're obviously cold down there in Eastbourne, or trying to hide something on the belly. What about nutrition? Talking about hiding something on the belly, how's your own nutrition been during lockdown?
It's been horrific, and I can't help but think you're taking advantage of the pre-live chat that I was having with the studio guys. I was ridiculed by my kids this morning. I've put on about 20 pounds in weight or something since lockdown began in the UK, so I desperately need the gyms to reopen and get back on the treadmill, I think.
So just a reminder, if you would like to win the signed shirt today, partnered today with Cell Nutrition, and in light of our theme as well, performance, medical and analytics, we want you to get a bit geeky. Give us an impressive football fact or stat. Patrick, I'll put you on the spot. Have you got anything to kick us off?
Yeah, I've got a couple actually. I love the stat of Clarence Seedorf winning the Champions League with 3 different clubs. Phenomenal achievement, I think, really overlooked as well as a player globally. But I'll obviously have to go back to Liverpool and choose Steven Gerrard as being the only player to ever score in every cup final that he played in, which I think is a phenomenal stat and one that stands him out as the ultimate big game player.
Yeah, absolutely. I always go to my personal favourite, which is Robert Earnshaw, the only player at every level of the game, every professional league within England and Wales as well, to have scored a hat trick. And then there's Zaha at Crystal Palace as well, who has won more penalties than anybody else in the English Premier League. So there's a couple for you. Give us some historical ones, some quirky ones, some fun ones as well. Tweet us at Soccerex. What's your favourite football stat or fact in order to enter the draw to win a signed shirt of your choosing based on our selection here at Soccerex HQ. So, Patrick, let's move on to yesterday, day 2 of Soccerex Connected. Another stellar lineup. What were some of your highlights?
There were lots again. I think if you saw our social interaction yesterday, I think the panels are getting better, if that was possible, with the way that we started the week. But digital ticketing I highlighted yesterday as one that I was looking forward to, and it was a really interesting panel to see the sort of different stages that clubs are at with introducing ticketless tickets, if that makes sense, or paperless tickets. So to hear from Inter Miami and the work they're doing there, in addition to some challenges like Everton are having based on sort of demographics and how their fans historically purchase tickets, I think was really interesting. And also another one that's kind of come to the fore even more recently because of COVID is how stadiums and how clubs utilise their stadiums on non-match days, and the balance of being that sort of community football club, but also being a community hub that's able to host multi-events. I think it was touched on that, a football match can be played on a Wednesday evening and you can have a trade show the following morning. So but they were really interesting panels that stood out for me, I think.
Yeah, and as Patrick mentioned, Inter Miami were part of one of those panels. They've got a brand new stadium. It's sort of a holding stadium whilst they build their permanent stadium in the MLS. Inter Miami, of course, is owned by David Beckham. And we spoke to Janine Valentine about how the club are trying to stay innovative within their new stadium.
Digital wipe, start one way and then have to rip the Band-Aid off. You always just wanted to start fresh. It was a brand new stadium. It was a brand new team. Why not start with brand new technology? I think that kind of helped customers a little bit more. There was never an option to have a printed ticket, so they knew that they always had to be digital. And luckily, we're not the only pro sports team in the market, so we did kind of have another team kind of break through that ice with the fan base here a little bit, so it did make things a little bit easier. But in today's world, to everyone else's point, we are still in COVID, and post-COVID, everyone's going to want to feel safe. That's what's going to have the fans come back to the stadiums, is they need to feel safe in attending. So you have to take away as many touch points as you can. And then you just kind of educate the customer that this is beneficial for them. They don't have to chase down their friend and give them a ticket. They can simply open the app and transfer them the ticket. And the best part of that for every club, it's the key word nowadays, is data, data, data. Every time you forward that ticket to another person, that's another hot lead for your sales team. And then going cashless and having everything integrated within the stadium, you're getting all of that data too. What are they buying at concessions? What are they buying merchandise? How many friends did they have? You're getting all of that data, and all that does is benefit your team. So there is this path that you're going to want to create that you can go down little by little and 100% know your customer.
Janine Valentine there from Inter Miami, of course, now managed by Phil Neville, who joined from the Lionesses. Beckham and Neville linking up. Big things expected in MLS from that particular franchise in the forthcoming season. And we also heard yesterday the perspective of Swansea City as well. Their head of commercial is Rebecca Edward-Simmons, and she was telling us how the average age of her season ticket holders at Swansea is 47, but the club during the pandemic have felt the need to have a digital season ticket, and that requires, of course, some onboarding for older audiences. But the digital season ticket also is obviously of appeal to younger demographics, which Swansea are trying to target.
App ticketing. We were the first club in the UK to do that in January 2018. We were still fortunate to be in the Premier League at the time. Unfortunately, we got relegated that summer. But the reason why we did it was that obviously we felt that there was a huge opportunity in the UK to be the first. We were a smaller club in the Premier League at the time. Felt that we could take a risk. And the key demographics for us is the average age of our season ticket holder is 47. Whilst I don't personally class that as old, then of course we do need to look at future-proofing our fan base and looking at targeting the younger generations. So we felt that digital was the way of us being able to step forward. That said, when we launched in-app ticketing, because of the key demographic of our audience, then we did have a few learnings from our older supporters, such as the lovely word Android, and how many devices fall under the Android marketplace, right? So it's great when you've got an iOS handset and you've got an Apple handset where it's a one size fits all, but when you've got Android and people on all these different obscure mobile phones from all over the world, then being able to create the barcode to be able to sit in the main framework of the screen was a huge part. Then we had the challenge of season ticket versus match day ticket, and how do we make this barcode that it can only be scanned once per game and then only 23 games per season. Then you have the older generation who at first did get very frustrated with the fact that they wanted to get this to work. So we quickly learned that we needed to do how-to guides and go back to traditional video format to actually teach people on how to use this technology. But also connectivity. I think everybody forgets that when we've got these huge stadia with no connectivity or hardly any, and everybody wants to have the fully connected stadia, and only a few stadia have managed to do that in the world, then connectivity, it's great having their ticket on their app, but have they downloaded their ticket before they leave their house? Because if they haven't and they try and rely on the connectivity at the stadia, then that creates a whole heap of problems.
Really interesting stuff from Rebecca Edwards-Simmons, the head of commercial at Swansea City, talking about digital ticketing. And Patrick, obviously Soccerex has historically always been an in-person conference. Part of the appeal is going to new places like Miami. I know you've been to Middle East and North Africa, Doha and the UAE as well. What challenges present themselves due to the pandemic when you have to transfer all of that in-person conference elements, such as an exhibitor's village, which obviously has a very visual feel, into something like Soccerex Connected? Was it easy to transfer this conference from Soccerex to Soccerex Connected?
No, it is the short answer. I think any business the size of Soccerex is, especially when one involves bringing together a couple of thousand people, exhibitors, sponsors, delegates, partners, the challenge was, how do we make an online event as Soccerexy as possible? There are lots of webinars, lots of content out there. So it was about us keeping our own identity, making sure that the Soccerex family approach was still the one that we adopted. We did that, thankfully, because of who we are and the standing that we do have in the global football community. I think we'd be supported as long as it was the right idea with most ideas we took to market. So I think two main benefits to moving online. One, our events become truly global, which I think we're now seeing viewers from 97, maybe 98 countries now, which is unbelievable. And also the ability to grab speakers and delegates from all around the world and take up a small amount of their time as opposed to a number of days, I think is a huge benefit for us. It's been a massive challenge, but myself, the MD Phil and Patrick Cannon, the ops guys, spent a long time looking at various different platforms to choose the right one, not just for us, clients and partners, which I think is key.
And Pat, just before I let you go, the last panel today, as it will be all week, relates to Soccerex Heritage, which is a new arm of Soccerex, and we have been focusing all week and will continue to do so on the 1930 World Cup. Just give me a little bit more insight as to why the history element, and specifically the 1930 World Cup, is such a big part of this edition of Soccerex Connected.
Well, I think we're all getting ready for the 2022 World Cup, and I think James and the guys at 1930 have got a fantastic strapline, which is, without knowing your past, you can't know your future, which I think is key to understand across football. You know, football is a very historic game, and I think even though we work on the business side of it, I think most of us, not all, but most of us grew up as football fans. So the idea is to really make the Soccerex brand a little bit bigger, a little bit more accessible for some people that might not work in the business, but as fans are, you know, fans of the history of the game or the laws and legacy type work. So I think it was important as we develop and innovate to find new areas that interest not just us as people that run it, but consumers and people that will absorb that content. And the registrations that we've seen over the last couple of weeks, you know, proves us to have been right about that. And I see that as something that will develop and get better and better over time.
Great stuff, Pat. Thank you very much for your time. We'll let you take off the jacket and the jumper and have something to eat. Just not too fatty, because you've got to come back on again tomorrow, and you might not have enough jumpers to cover up that gut every single day.
Thanks, Ben. I appreciate that, mate.
We're only, of course, winding him up. Patrick McCreanor, Head of Sales and Marketing at Socrates, looking lean and mean and very suave as well. And he continues to work extremely hard behind the scenes and on camera as well, as does the whole team here at Soccerex Connected. So Ben Jacobs with you throughout the day. It's Soccerex Connected. It is day 3. Our theme is performance, medical and analytics. Our presenting partner is Cell Nutrition Sport. If you want to enter the draw to win a signed shirt, all you've got to do is tweet us via @Soccerex with your favorite football stat or fact. Be quirky, be fun, be creative, stand out and engage with us. And again, a reminder, the full schedule is available both on the app and on the website as well. So a very good morning to you as we head towards midday here in London, and good afternoon to those of you tuning in from Asia as well. We'll be back in 10 minutes time with our first panel, 12 noon GMT. It's called Developing Footballers in the Developing World. Stay with us.